If you were a woodsman during colonial times, most of your time was spent either hunting, tending to your cattle, minding the farm, maybe tending crops, or maybe attending to any of the numerous occupations that you may have had prior to going out on your scout looking for, game to support your family. Staples were hog and hominy, were basically corn and pork. And right here you see two examples of what we're going to have today for lunch. We're going to look at some dry cured bacon here. In the bowl you're going to see white corn flour. Now they prided themselves on having white corn flour as opposed to yellow. That was left for feed. It was also left for the savages per se. So no self-respecting sutler's woman would use yellow corn. They would use the white corn. So it was of a flint variety, and that's how you get the white texture. There's usually two different grains or two different coarsenesses of the flour. Coarsenesses. I don't know if that's a word, but let's run with it anyway. You would have a flour, and then you would have a grit. In your grit, you can do everything that you can with a flour, although the application for some breads and things of that nature, such as hoecakes like we're going to make today, would probably do better with a flour as opposed to the coarser grit meal. This way it'll absorb the water a little bit more. Here we have our bacon, and this is dry cured. All right. So you can just take this, slice it off as you need it, and then you can go on. The thing about dry cured bacon is this. If you used a lot of salt, which I did, I wound up using about 12 pounds of salt to cure this over the period of about 10 to 12 days, you may not like that salty taste, and a lot of people don't. I don't. So what I do is I'll have a tendency to soak my bacon in water before you use it, right? Steve even mentioned that as well. You can use it to salt your water for any number of different recipes, whether it be for stew, whether it be for cooking greens, so on and so forth. You can just take this bacon the way that it is and you can cube it, and then you can throw it in. Or you can let it soak for a little bit, and then you can go right on in. Okay, there we have our bacon for today. Put that right there. And we'll take the rest of this. We'll just put this aside in our bag. And we'll have this ready for later on. Nice little knife that Steve made me. I'm actually really happy with it. He did a great job with it. Slice that bacon up nice and thin. And that's actually the way that I like it. So here's a shout out to Steve over at Stillwater Woodcraft. Thanks for that knife, Steve. I'm going to take some water. I'm just going to fill my frying pan for right now. Right there. And I'm just going to let the bacon sit in there for a little while. get rid of some of that salt. When you're making these, remember, it's always better to add a little bit of water at a time than to add too much. You can always add more, but you can't ever take it out, which means you're going to have to add more flour. The name hoecake came about by the workers in the field. And basically what they would do is they would mix up their batter with their flour here, and they would cook it on their hoes. At least that's what I've been told, and I have read that in several references. So, not too bad. This is just a tip. I didn't read this anywhere. You have flints, used flints from your rifle or your smoothbore. And I actually keep these. The reason why I keep these, very simply, I can still get sparks off of the flint and steel. And there you go. No big deal. There we go. I would have to say that our bacon is done. So, I'm going to wind up doing here is I'm going to take this out. And we'll just lay it in our bowl to cool. And then we'll take our hoecakes and just drop them right in. And we'll let them cook right there. Okay, these are getting bacon bits. Nice crust on them, and that's what you want. So we're going to put these over here. We're going to let those cool. That's fine. Now, the last thing that I wanted to show you. We can actually make a mush with the leftover grease from the pan. Getting back to the mush, you know, we just keep at it. And we just keep it nice and warm. And basically, that's what we have. Now, you could add sugar to that if you had it. You know, you could add some chocolate if you were getting ready to make some boiled chocolate. So you can make like a chocolate mush as well. You know, and this is what you wind up having. Okay, as you see, this is what you wind up having. It's like a mush. If I actually had to liken it to something, I would have to say it's like a hasty pudding almost. Well, you're making it in a frying pan instead of a boiler. So now I'm going to sit here and I'm going to enjoy my bacon and hoecakes. So instead of you watching me eat my lunch for the last 20 minutes, I decided to just pack up everything and make sure that you go through your camp where you sat down. Make sure you pick up everything. Make sure everything is in its place that you need. Give it a once over. Make sure your fire is out completely. Make sure you drown the coals in water. All right. We don't want people to know where we've been. If we can help it, cover your fire lays, things of that nature. And pretty much let's just discuss what we went over. Well, we discussed Hog and Hominy today. We discussed dry cure bacon. We discussed my recipe for making it, and I'll put it in the description of this video. We discussed making hoecakes. Not too much there. You watch me make them. It's just flour, corn flour, and the water that you need to make your cake per se. It's relatively the same thing as bannock. That's really all it is. Not a lot of stuff went into them. Not sugar, not leavening agents, nothing of that nature. Just the flour and the water. Maybe some salt. We didn't have to worry about the salt because we cooked it in the bacon grease. And then last, we made the corn mush to go along with that. And again, you take your flour, you put it in the drippings from the rest of the bacon, because if you just add the water first, it's going to flash up and you don't want that. So once you get that pretty well mixed, add your water to the consistency that you want, and then go ahead and cook that until it's nice and hot. You could add chocolate to it if you want to. You could add other spices as well. It's pretty darn good. So this is Brian from Snowwalker Bushcraft. I hope you enjoyed this episode in Shadows of the Forest. We'll move along to another one, and we'll just keep right on going for the rest of the year, and we'll see what kind of tricks I can pull out for you. So until the next one, walk the woods.